Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent. Hello, welcome to the channel, guys. Here we do rants and reviews and things and talk about games and stuff. We take things a little bit too seriously, but that's okay, right? Okay. Anyways, hopefully you do too, and meet us in the comments below for a little bit of a debate. But the title topic, we're talking about live services that aren't even live services. And if you're new to this kind of series, I don't have any scripts. I just say things, but this is talking about things that aren't quite what they seem, things that are a little bit inaccurate or just straight up false. So often the times I'll talk about a game that's like, competitive games aren't even competitive, such as fighting games. Fighting games are competitive games, but most of them actually are nowhere near being an actual sport. So that's probably going to be a video that's coming out soon. Things like that. And today I'm talking about live service games that aren't even live services. So what does that even mean? That's always the fun part of these videos, right? Is like, what does that even mean, Sky? Basically, that means games that are advertised as being live services, that are supposed to be alive, that are supposed to be ongoing, constantly updated, consistently grown, have a good community that's always there, or maybe ever churning at least, always new players, even if the old players are running out. There's always new stuff going into the game, new people coming into the game. There is life. Okay, you don't quite play this game as if it was a movie, absolutely not, or it's not a story, it's not just a book. It's even more than just a game, really. It's more like a festival, like a celebration, like a party. It's something that lives and breathes, that can die. But since it's a product that's advertised as a live service, you'd imagine it's something that's always kind of being brought back to life. That's always kind of being, regrown or consistent growth. That's what makes a live game, a live service. Games like League of Legends, which is a sport, obviously, but you do have MMOs like World of Warcraft, which always means new expansions, which always means new updates, which always means, new things, new events to get players in. So it almost feels kind of like a mall. You go to a mall, there's events, there's always new shops, there's new stuff going on. It's like a mall, it's like a town square, it's like a park. An MMO is, or just games as a service, live games, these online action RPGs, games like Anthem, Warframe, things like that. These are titles that desperately need a consistent, flow of new content, new players, and community events, and things inside the game that spur on the community. That's what defines a games as a service. And my issue, which you guys probably can already tell now that you know what I'm talking about, a lot of these games don't fucking update, man. A lot of these games have no player bases, really, that really are consistent. Now, I said it's okay if new players come in and old players go, but if they're hemorrhaging players constantly and all they can do is get new players, there's not really much going on there. People that's like with those dead malls that people just walk through. They don't actually participate in any of the events or buy anything. It's just dead. By the way, the mall system in America is kind of cancer, so that's why I'm kind of rambling on that. But no, seriously, it's like the same thing that's happening in MMOs and online games. Is people just kind of get in, they walk through it, they literally walk through it, or slowly, trudgingly, because they're fucking filled with grind and loot boxes and RNG, and it's just a gamble fest, basically a casino. And then they walk out and they're done, and there's not really much of a memory. A lot of these games kind of have an excuse of you play with friends, it's fun with friends, and I don't care, Yeah, like an empty field can technically be a park, and you can go and throw frisbee with friends. You can make it fun, but really good parks have the lakes, they got the playgrounds, you got the exercise equipment, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference, okay? And I am relating that to video games because video games are real life, guys. You are spending your real time, your real money, you are meeting real people, you are having real experiences inside these video games. And when you have a games as a service, which you have to pay money for, probably consistently with microtransactions, expansions, a combination of the two, loot boxes, all those things, when you are trying to consume a product and it is advertised as something that is ever consumable, and then you've eaten all of the content, you have experienced all it has to experience really and truly, and then they don't keep updating it. They don't keep, doing anything extra, no events, no esport, no nothing, no festivities really, and they're just kind of rehashing content, rehearsing a lot of things that they've already done before. Everything is always a tease. That's not alive. That is not a live service to me. And then you have a lot of these games that will start something, they'll start an idea concept, Sadly, I'm gonna have to put my favorite MMO right here. I'm gonna have to put it out. Guild Wars 2, actually, its first year had a living story. It had all these events like every other month. There was this big giant event that could change the world, or it was some big thing that a lot of players all went and did. It was some huge event, and then they stopped that, and they decided that they're gonna go the expansion route. And now they still do living story, they still do seasonal events, and they're still technically the best in any game that I've ever played. But it just, they switched it around, they changed it, and, some people feel weird about that. Some people feel better about it. I don't know. It just, I guess that's also the double-edged sword of live services, right? Is that they can change. They're alive, they're living, breathing, they're fluid, and they probably should, honestly, for whatever's best for the player base, whatever's best for the art of the game. And I feel like Guild Wars 2 kind of betrayed itself because they built the entire game and advertised fundamentally the game that it would not use expansions, that they would focus on basically every month or every other month having a big chunky update that could potentially change the world. And it did, and it was fun for me, but then they switched it up. Yeah, and I don't know. So anyways, we have games like Anthem, which basically launch, $60, microtransactions, all the good stuff, man. A lot of money, a lot of time, that you got to invest into this game because it's a grindy game. But really, a lot of these games just make it grindy and sluggish because there's not much content. Even games that do actually spam content, like Warframe, will very specifically, and World of Warcraft also did this, which regularly comes out with expansions and updates. They will specifically make certain things very grindy, and then later on, they'll dampen it. They'll make it a lot easier to get through once they have content for, because they don't want you to blow through everything. They will literally, they'll just publicly say that. They'll be like, yeah, we don't want players to blow through everything. That is, to me, I really don't like that design philosophy. Maybe that specific thing should be a whole nother rant video. But when it comes to live services, I want to live it. I want to live in it. And whenever I get this feeling of this like artificial gamification, it's like not the real game. It's not the real art of the game, of what I'm trying to do. It takes me out of it. I can play some arcade as hell games like RuneScape, but really, even though RuneScape 3 has better graphics and, better cinematics and things like that, it is far less, actually immersive because of all the microtransactions and because of all the little tiny things that they do in the game that just kind of pervert the art of the game, which is funny because actually old school RuneScape is a little bit more grindy, but whatever. Every game has like a purpose, a design, and a kind of a thing that the community wants. Like the community in general, they want to play together and they want to do stuff together that this game does special. But a lot of these live services go against that. They go against it. They make it harder, more difficult, more challenging to actually do what that game does special and great. And most of the time, I think these live services monetize it. They monetize it, or they do it as a way to hide their actual lack of progress as a live service. So to me, these games, which it's so popular, if it's an MMO, if it's an action RPG, if it's a dungeon diver, whatever, whatever it is survival games especially, a lot of these games, they update in different ways. There's lots of different ways to monetize their game. There's lots of different ways to play a game for sure. But whatever it is, it always more or less seems that these games, which make so much money selling themselves as, hey, we're a live service, and that kind of comes with some connotations. You're like, okay, I'm going to be playing this game for a while. I'm going to be coming back to this game for a while. And even if I only play at specific points during the year, those specific points are going to be hype as hell because they're going to have events, they're going to have new updates. But then you buy the game, you invest in this game, the time, the effort, trying to get all your friends to play with you, because live services, they're online games, you play with friends. The investment from multiple people, from groups, getting together over and over again for that payoff, that never really comes. It's always a carrot on a stick. So really, to me, a lot of these live service games, they're not really live service. Really, they're games that should have just been done, finished. The $60 game, okay, it should have been a full game from the start. And what they did was they kind of just trickle the content, so it just it has the appearance. It seems like it's living and breathing. And you know what? I think we're wisening up. We see you, Anthem. A lot of people complaining about Warframe, which has so far been beloved. And even though a lot of people are still ignorant, they jump into games, they're buying these games, they're spending a lot of money. A lot of, Destiny still did fucking fantastically. And people still play it and have fun. And there's not too much wrong with that. But I think we need to be a little bit less ignorant. You know, I think people are starting to wisen up. As you spend, you know, dozens and dozens of hours in like a game like Destiny, doing the same thing over and over again, it gets boring, you know? People get bored. And while these games do prey on addictive personalities, I think overall, the average consumer is starting to understand. It's like, okay, wait, this game did that game did that. Okay, you're not gonna get, you know, fool me twice. No, okay, I think from now on, I'm not gonna play games like this. And I'm gonna wait for one that really comes out, that's really shining, you know, truly. Warframe's actually pretty okay. It's still got some mobile-esque, you know, monetization, and it's totally a grind, but it's still pretty good. But what I'm saying is all games as a service can be better. League of Legends is one that actually is a lot better. I think that they should be less grindy. They added RNG into their grind. That's not good. See, that's another thing that you don't need that League of Legends. You're one of the biggest games that you don't need that shit. Fuck. Anyways, so there's a lot of games. All games can be a little bit better as games as a service. There's so much room for them to make so much money off of people by perverting their art. It's disgusting. But I just want to say that, you know, to you, to me, to everyone, you know, from me to you, I think that we all need to kind of buckle down just a little bit, you know. These games, maybe we could try them, we could play them, we could test them out, but don't give away your life to these games. Don't support, you know, loot boxes and all the like boosters, these grind boosters and things like that. Don't go through that. Don't support games like that. Support the games that you like, and you know, in the ways that you like. Don't sit there and buy the loot boxes. Fuck. At least Jesus Christ, don't do that. You know, you could buy Overwatch. The loot box. Don't buy the loot boxes, please and thank you. So you know, support the games in the ways that you love them. Keep them running as a service if they are actually servicing you. But if you see a game and you see the red flags, don't fall into the trap, okay? Because this is how they get you. It's like, oh, it'll get better later. Oh, we'll update it later. It'll be you know, it'll be a better experience later. It's gonna be ever expanded. And the thing is, guys, historically now that I've played so many MMO and so many of just general games as a service, I'm telling you right now that a lot of these live service games, they die. They die. And if they don't technically shut down, then they basically halt true production. And you basically just get rehashing, you get a trickling of content, and if you do get anything new, it's completely rushed, and it's just thrown out there, and you're just getting scraps of the true art of what the game should have been that you did pay for. You put in the effort and time, and the developers didn't honor that. Because games as a service is just kind of fucking lucrative. So let's stop taking the bait and chasing that carrot. That's all I gotta say. That's my thoughts and feelings. Let me know yours in the comments below. And if you want to hear me rant on anything else, join Patreon. You can do any amount of it's a pure donation, but join the Discord then, and then you know, hash it out with me, talk about it, and we'll see what we can rant about. Much love, have fun, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.